And let me do my screen share. So once again, my point in doing this is just to introduce you to several other things that you're going to see down the line. Part of what I'm doing here is just giving you a very short overview of how all these different functions work. I want to show you one more thing. Comments are something that you can add, which are just basically little labels, which you can encourage your students to do. Every programmer, and if you've been a programmer before, we use comments to just sort of communicate what pieces of code do, or to kind of label things. It's a way of, you can tell your students, it's a way that programmers communicate to other programmers if the code is somewhat confusing. You're going to find out that it makes a lot of sense. The words in English make a lot of sense, right? Like you can see if number of years equals 0. Even if you've never seen snap before, you can kind of infer what that's going to do, right? It's going to test to see if our number of years is 0, and if it is 0, it's going to do the following command, right? Then we have the if else part. Let's see. Let's see how to make a comment. Very, very simple thing. Anywhere in this scripting area, which again is all this sort of like this place that has the vertical lines, just right click anywhere and you can select add comment. And you'll see what happens. It makes like a little sticky note. Say add comment, and I'm going to label some of these programming concepts that we just went over. Here's what I'll do. For a comment, it does not matter at all what you write in a comment. The computer does not read comments. It only programmers and, well, teachers who teach programming will be the ones reading comments. So output, if I just want to kind of label this, I can actually drag this little sticky note right on top of something like the say block that says hip hip hooray. And then it sort of attaches that comment to that particular code segment. So it's just saying, okay, we have output, general output to the screen in this one command. Okay, I'm going to keep doing this because I want to actually label some of these vocabulary words. I'm going to add another comment. And I'm going to give you 2 words here. The easy one is loop. The more academic vocabulary word that you need to stress in your class is iteration. Sort of attach that here to the repeat. And a little bit of overlap here, but you can still see that it's pointing to the repeat statement. Repeat this 3 times, and it's just pointing out what is that? It's a loop. Okay. One of the first things that you do is just some simple loops. Okay, let me finish this out. Almost done here. Let me add a comment to label my ask block as user input. There we go. I can actually zoom this in a little bit. Yeah. If my screen, sorry. My screen was a little small. I can do something like this. Okay, so we had the output statement, we had a loop, we had an input statement. Right here, I'm going to label this if command and give you the word that your students are going to need to know, and that is selection. Okay, we sometimes call these conditional statements. For AP Computer Science Principles, your students need to be familiar with the word selection. I'll put that where the if is. There's a really good reason why I'm introducing these vocabulary words to you right now. They don't have to worry about it for a while, but you might want to mention it toward the beginning of the year. Your students are going to have to create an original project. Due at the end of April. We'll get a lot more into it later, but their project has to have things like input, output. It has to have a loop, or it has to show iteration. It has to have selection. So in doing this little activity with you, I'm just introducing those concepts, again, those programming concepts to you. Make sure you know iteration, selection, and sequencing are actually vocabulary words in our first unit of study. Okie doke. This is a little too zoomed in. Zoom out a little bit. I want to also point this out. Sometimes students get confused as far as where is their actual program code, which is this stuff that you can see right here in the middle of the screen. This is their code, whereas the program itself, the actual program that they're running, whether you want to call it an app, because it is an application software, or you want to call it a program or their project, that is in the corner of the screen right over here. That is the only thing that at the end of the day has to be working correctly. And then you can actually full screen it as well. You can click on these little arrows next to the green flag. And let's do that real quick just to show students that like they don't always have to be looking directly at their code. What their end product is, what their user, whoever uses their program, is going to be able to see is whatever's in the corner here. So look, let me full screen that. And this right here, this is your student's program. This is a computer program. I hit the green flag to start it. Okay. I've got hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray. Cool. How many years have I been coding? Let's try it out. Let me put a 0, right? And see what's going to happen if I put 0. Enter. And it does say welcome to CS. It also says keep on coding, right? It was equal to 0. We did that test. So it knew to say, oh, welcome to CS. You have 0 years of experience. Welcome in. Then it went on to do this is a separate test, this if statement down here. If number of years was greater than 5, I'm like, you're a coding champ. And if not, I said keep on coding. So it did do 2 of these different things, right? Because 0 is also falling in this category, right? The number 0 is not greater than 5. It's less than 5. Let me put one more word up here. Add a comment. Because there's actually 3 different terms that you want to know for algorithm design. 2 of them I already went over. That is iteration, which is your loops, selection, which is your if statements, and then sequencing is just a concept that code executes. I can spell this right. Your code segments will execute from top to bottom if you put them in the correct order. That's what's known as sequencing, from top to bottom. And I can just kind of leave this node off to the side.